Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a while, but we are back with another video on The Boys. We typically tend to release new content aimed at these shows around the time big trailers and new episodes drop. And that just makes the most sense to maximize our views. So if you've seen our content on The Boys but haven't checked out a video in a while, make sure to hit that notification bell because we will have more content on The Boys from now until the end of the third season. Anywho, the first big trailer for Season 3 of The Boys has dropped, and with it we have some shocking updates. Well, not really shocking, at least not shocking for anybody who's seen any of the dozen or so videos on The Boys characters we've already made. First and foremost, we have a release date for The Return, which is June 3rd, and that's awesome. The show is weekly and episodic, so it should give us plenty of time to make all kinds of new content for you and really rekindle the flame between us as the YouTuber and you as the viewer. We missed you. Now, as a YouTuber, I should let you know that legally I'm required to react to this trailer, break down every small scene, hyperfixate over all of it, and add a shitload of arrows that point to nothing in the thumbnail. And I really don't want to do that, but I do want to discuss possibly the biggest update to the Boys universe. In this trailer is the long-awaited debut of the superpowers for the actual Boys members. And for those of you who have read the series or checked out our videos on the characters like Billy Butcher, Frenchie, or the female, you know that the Boys all have superpowers in the comics. In fact, it's a major difference between the comics and the show, and a creative departure that confused a lot of comic readers. But if you ask me, it makes sense, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. But today's video is going to be a short look at the comic book history of the Boys and their superpowers. As always, be prepared for potential spoilers. The Boys as a show is almost a completely different animal than the comic series, so they draw some inspiration from the comics, but almost everything about the storylines are different. So I doubt that anything here will be too spoilerish, but you know, people are very sensitive. Let's start with a recap of where and how superpowers exist in the Boys universe. All superhuman individuals, or Supes, within the Boys universe were created due to a drug known as Compound V. Created sometime between World War I and World War II for the Nazis by a German scientist Johann Vogelbaum, which was effectively changed to Frederick Vought in the show, the drug was smuggled out of the country and utilized by the Vought American Corporation to create homegrown superheroes. Compound V has been instrumental in almost every facet of the Boys world. From the economic impact of megacorporations like Vought to the geopolitical structure of the planet, Compound V is essentially everywhere, whether people know it or not. The drug Compound V is most often given to babies to create superheroes, as the drug best reacts to infants. The most popular superhero team in the world, the Seven, were all created this way, given a massive amount of Compound V while either very young or in utero. However, not every superpowered person on the planet gets powers this way. Due to the extremely volatile nature of Compound V and the uncertainty of the superpowers generated in each person who is administered the drugs, it's usually a heavily regulated and monitored process. But every now and then, some of it sneaks out into the world accidentally. For example, and his little brother were exposed to Compound V due to their mother working in a dog food canning factory that actually used to manufacture Compound V before it was converted. Compound V leached into MM's mother's system and had quite a number of reactions on both her and her children throughout her life that I'll discuss in a moment, or you can always just watch MM's video and learn all about it. The drug Compound V is also used in various other ways in the comics. There are inhalant versions of the drug that provide varying effects, as well as a street drug known as Blue that grants various lower-level temporary powers. In the first arc of the comics, we see prostitutes take the drug in order to gain enough durability to withstand sleeping with members of the Teenage Kicks, a superpowered teen group of, well, assholes, I guess you could call them. So what does that have to do with the Boys? Well, in the Boys, the comics are all pretty much superpowered up straight from the get-go. The only member of the team who initially doesn't have powers is Hughie. So here's a quick rundown of the Boys, their powers, and when they received them. First up, we have the female, who was exposed to Compound V as a baby. She acts as the muscle of the team and is physically the most powerful. She's exceptionally brutal as well. Her powers include super strength, speed, agility, and durability. Additionally, her claws make her pretty fearsome. The Frenchman, or Frenchie, gains his powers via a cut version of Compound V administered to Boys operatives. He's also considered the second strongest in the group, primarily due to his savagery. His power set is similar to the females, but he also appears to gain the ability to smell at an extremely high level. Frenchie uses this at various times throughout the comics when tracking targets or enemies for the team. MM has powers stemming from being exposed to Compound V from birth. His strength and speed are relative to Butcher, who towards the end of the series fights him to a near standstill. One interesting aspect to MM's powers is that he has a dependency on his mother's breast milk. The side effect here is that if MM does not regularly drink his mother's breast milk, he loses his strength and starts to deteriorate and die. Hughie is injected with Compound V during his first outing with the boys, much to his own disapproval, and he gains all of the typical powers: strength, speed, and durability. However, he never really gets much stronger or develops himself in any way. He inadvertently kills a superhero Blarneycock during his first fight, not understanding the depths of his own powers and strength. Last but not least is Butcher, who has a significant increase to, well, you guessed it, strength, speed, and durability. Butcher's greatest power, though, has nothing to do with Compound V, and that is his brutality. The depths to his savagery is nearly limitless. He kills indiscriminately throughout the series, everything from bombs, guns, to beating people to death with crowbars. He is a clear homage to Frank Castle, but instead of focusing on organized crime and criminals in general, he targets Supes. Eventually, as the series progresses, Butcher decides that superhumans and Compound V have become a blight on society and starts his endgame related to killing everyone and anyone with Compound V in their system, including the boys. Butcher enlists the help of the at the time believed to be dead scientist Johann Vogelbaum to create a virus. This virus was designed to kill anybody with Compound V in their systems. Ultimately, Hughie stops Butcher, but I wouldn't be surprised if the show also went this way. As mentioned before, his endgame in both the show and the comics appears to have always been the eradication of every superpowered person regardless of their status. It's going to be interesting to see the power sets granted within the show to the members of the boys. Obviously, Kimiko, aka the female for comics readers, already has powers including super strength, durability, healing, and speed. Butcher will have laser eyes and possibly more, but as for the others, who knows? It could literally be anything, and seeing how far this show and the universe has departed from the source material and the quality of the show being so high, I'm really kinda down for whatever they pick. I'm sure that they will give each character something relatively unique, and that will add to the overall quality of the show in terms of the ability to tell a story and for battles and other just general cool shit. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you learned a lot, and if you did, consider doing all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. Most importantly, subscribing and hitting the notification bell. This has been Nick with Key Issues, and remember the motto, the boys over everything.